Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We swapped places today. It's all good, all fun. We have an exciting topic that we wanted to talk about. I don't know why, but out of all of the awesome things that I've talked about on this channel so far, the Transformer video has done the best, which, maybe I was wrong in my last video. Maybe I do need to make specific videos about just Transformers and this become a Transformer account. Who cares about everything else? No, today we wanted to talk about Transformers crossovers. We love Transformers, we love crossovers, we love all things regarding that, and so the future of what that could look like is insanely exciting. You have anything to add?
No, I think that especially over the last few releases that they've done for crossovers, it's been really, really cool. And we spend a lot of time talking about, well, what if they do this? What if they did this? You know, it'd be cool if they took it in this direction. And so we figured we'd just kind of get on and talk to a larger audience about it.
Right. One of the things that is leaked to come out in the future that we do know about is a Batman crossover. How awesome would that be?
Dude, I keep forgetting about that. And every time you remind me, I'm like,
yes. So one of the many talked about things is, what is it going to be? Is it going to be the 89 Batmobile? Is it going to be the animated style Batmobile, the animated style Nightwing, the animated style, just any of these things? Like, what iteration of Batman is it going to pull its source from? And how are they going to do that? One of the things that we talked about that I think would be awesome, and there would be a way to do this with the Batmobile too, but a lot easier with the Batwing. And that would be to have that kind of like form into a cape. Like, I don't really know how it would work, but it's kind of shaped like the Batarang itself, and then you have parts that fold out. Anyways, it folds into a cape. Really cool. I don't know what your ideas were on it, but
I think we talked about how there's already in some iterations the Batwing, the outline of the wings already kind of split, almost like X-Wing style, and they kind of come up and down. And so I think that putting that, kind of just shifting them back, separating them, and then putting them on the back, I think would work really well. And the other things you were talking about is, obviously it would be cool if there was a cloth cape somehow, like especially how the Dracula crossover Transformer that we have, like it comes with the cape and then it kind of goes onto the wings. That's a really cool concept, but I just don't necessarily know how that would translate to a Batman crossover, seeing as he probably shouldn't and won't turn into a bat.
No, and I don't want him to turn into a bat. Like, for instance, if they were to reuse the Dracula's mold, I actually would be pretty salty about that. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
because that's not what Batman is. And whenever you look at crossovers, like, for instance, one of them right here. This is actually one of the most perfect ones to draw attention to, is the Ninja Turtle one, if you can't tell what it is. And I believe it turns into the Party Wagon, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a Ninja Turtle, and then it turns into the very vehicle that they use for transportation. Obviously, you see this for most of the crossovers. Like, you got the Top Gun Maverick one that turns into Maverick himself. You have the Jurassic Park ones. You could probably think of more, but the idea being that it needs to be Batman, and it needs to turn into one of his transportation devices.
I think I know we had talked about it being either the 89 Batmobile or the Batwing, and I think that's probably the most likely.
I believe so.
However, I do think that a Batman figure based off of the animated series Batmobile could potentially be, at least in my opinion, depending on how they do it, way cooler. Just because I love that Batmobile design.
Well, is there an argument to be made that the animated Batman show, not like the animated Batman show, but what is it called? The one that we're watching right now?
Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, but there is like a Batman the Animated Show, right? That comes after, or what is it called?
I think it's called The New Batman Adventures. And
okay,
it's a sequel
that's
to
right.
That show.
And they have two very distinct art styles, so I wanted to make sure that I was referencing the older one. Yes, I think that one has a much wider audience. I think that a lot of people, who watched and got into Batman watched that initially, which got them into Batman.
For sure.
I think that would be the absolute perfect one, because then you're not going with, for instance, like the 89 Batman, which there may be personal bias injected into that, right? Because then there's some Maybe somebody who's like, well, I don't want to buy this now because I really wanted Christian Bale's Tumbler. And everyone else, 90% of people are like, well, I don't like the Tumbler because that's not representative of what I believe the Batmobile to be, which is fine if you believe that. A lot of people think the Tumbler is really cool. I think that it is what it is. I think that it should be a separate thing from the Batmobile.
You know what the possibility of it being the animated one makes me think of?
What?
Is because especially like in the Legos, and I don't necessarily know in the show because it kind of rides that line between black and blue.
Right.
But in the Legos of that animated Batmobile, it's like a dark blue. And so it makes me really think about, hopefully, I think it'd be really cool if that Batman crossover had the blue and gray suit. Not like super blue, but like that dark navy.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting.
I would almost like that better than a straight black and gold color scheme like the Bale movies. I think that it would stand out more.
Yeah. The yellow symbol, like black symbol, yellow background with the blue cowl.
Right. And of course, that's really cool. Like, who wouldn't want a Batman crossover? And it kind of asks the questions of, are there any other DC characters that are popular enough to get a crossover like that? And my immediate answer is no.
Well, it's like the next most popular DC characters that came to my mind were Superman and Wonder Woman.
Right.
And what are they going to turn into? You know what I mean? Like
Wonder Woman is like a straight clear plastic jet,
which
breaks upon arrival.
Terrifying. and then Superman literally doesn't have anything, so it's like, it's like immediately in terms of DC characters with vehicles and stuff like that. Like, I guess you could make a Mr. Terrific one with like the T-spheres, but then he's not like up there character-wise.
Okay, well, obviously the DC other than Batman wouldn't really work out. So what about Marvel? Obviously, there was a line of Marvel Transformers whenever we were growing up, early 2000s. I believe these may have even predated the first Transformers live-action movie. Maybe.
I think it's around that time.
Yeah, I think they were around like 04 to 09, maybe. I don't know, but I do know that there was a ton of popular Marvel characters such as Venom, Carnage, Punisher, Captain America, you got Iron Man, you got War Machine, you got Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man, and not only that, but a lot of these characters had multiple variations. They had multiple different vehicles that they could turn into, and it was really, really, really cool. And what's interesting about that is that at the time, Marvel was not anywhere near as popular as it is today.
Not until 2008, I believe, was when Iron Man came out. Like, that's what...
Right, and I actually do think that there were some Iron Man Transformer crossovers that came out at the time, and even for the second Iron Man movie. But the question has to be asked is that, and honestly, the time may have already passed for this to, have happened, but why didn't we get that again, but better figures during the time that the MCU was, having its run?
Honestly, I think that the most likely answer is rights and copyrights issues, and how, hey, we're taking off. No, I don't want you to use our stuff to make a figure. And I think that's probably, like, Occam's razor, just like that's probably what happened.
Right.
And why we haven't seen stuff since. And the other part of it is maybe the Transformers is like that brand Hasbro was wanting too much money to make it, and or didn't want to pay the rights for it. Kind of either side of that
you're probably
coin.
Right.
But that being said, obviously we grabbed this guy out to talk about, and it's like this guy. The X-Men Transformers crossover.
Awesome, by the way.
The SR-71 that they all ride in. Like, this is within the past couple of years?
I actually want to say 2018 to 2022.
Was it that long ago?
Well,
I guess 2020. I was thinking...
It might have been. I know that it was within the past 7 years. So not that long, really, at all.
And so it's interesting. It's like, well... At the same time, the X-Men have been kind of gone for a long time, at least in the larger pop culture. Obviously, their comics are still doing well, as far as I know. But I wonder if it's one of those things we're not these characters aren't as successful as maybe they want them to be at this moment in time, so whatever. And so
Right.
here, let's make some Transformers of them.
Right,
Give
right,
the
right.
rights to Hasbro.
Isn't that interesting though that whenever the Marvel characters weren't as popular, they were coming out with all of these figures for them, and then you fast forward to whenever we were at the height of the MCU, and the X-Men are really nowhere to be found, and they come out with an X-Men crossover figure. Isn't that kind of ironic?
Yeah, and that would kind of lead into how we got so many of those, like the 2 or 3 Iron Man ones, the 3 or 4 Spider-Man ones,
Right.
the Carnage and Venom Transformers.
Right.
Those were all, I think, pre-MCU.
I have a question for you. If we were to see any more Marvel crossovers, what would you want to see? I'll give my opinion after you do. And what would you want them to turn into more so?
Well, and that was the thing, is when we started talking about like how like Superman and Wonder Woman don't have anything to turn into, all of those Marvel crossovers, like Spider-Man turning into a motorcycle and an F1 type car, and Venom turning into a Challenger. It's like
Right.
those obviously don't, like, those vehicle modes didn't have anything to do
No,
particularly
there's
with
no
them.
correlation.
And so it made me thought was, well, why not get figures of Superman turning into some random flying thing and Wonder Woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just like themed after that character.
Like, for instance, Thor turned into a AA-10 Warthog in the Marvel crossover line, and that one is actually one of the rarer ones to find. Not a great figure at all. It doesn't look great, but it's more of the novelty of it now. That would be pretty cool, you know. And again, what are they going to turn into? So,
Well, they were really creative, or at least in some way when they did that, because the Wolverine turning into that APC type thing, it's like,
yes,
that's not at all what I've thought to choose for Wolverine. Like, obviously, I know
No.
he's a heavy, really durable, which is probably where they were coming from, but I always
right.
I would have leaned towards something faster for him, because he is a
Okay.
fast dude.
Okay.
And so it's like, at what point are there any limitations on what they do?
I guess there wouldn't be, even to the extent of them making Spider-Man a motorcycle, but also a helicopter, but also like a car. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Yeah. But it does beg the question, and here's what I want to say: if they were to reapproach the Marvel, line, would you want it to be these kind of like play piece figure toy-esque things, or would you want it to be more of a display thing, kind of what we've seen with Studio Series, where for each of the main cast of, like, for instance, like the Avengers, we see like a piece of them that is representative, like, for instance, with Captain America. I don't know how you would do this, by the way, but turn him into his shield. Obviously, Thor turns into his hammer, and then, so on and so forth. And I'm saying that because I have no idea what the other one should turn into, right? But you get the idea, and it's like, I would almost like a sense of display piece. And whenever I say that, I am referencing almost exactly the new NFL helmets that have come out.
Dude, I was hoping that you were going to talk about this. I think that is a really incredible untapped like potential, and I wish that
Absolutely.
they had more than the 4 teams out. And
Yeah.
that's like, I said this to him last night. It's like, I wish that I followed an NFL team. You know what I mean? So that I could actually get one and feel better about, rather than just getting it for it's a transformer. But more than anything, that is, I would love for them to do college football teams.
Yeah, we're not going to come out and say which college football team we would really want them to do, but just know that it would be incredibly cool for them to do colleges in general. Think of all, like, for instance, TCU, the Horned Frogs. How cool would that be?
Mhm.
The purple and black with, like, that would be sick. I have always been a huge fan of, like, TCU and any of that. But yes, that's an untapped potential. So what I told you the other night is that, like, imagine going to whatever student union you have at your campus, and you can go and buy, these Hasbro labeled Transformers that are helmets that turn into these little football players. And they do, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but there are a Hasbro NFL line of Transformers that are perfect helmets, and they turn into these little Transformer guys, and they have, like, removable helmets that you can take on and off in robot form. They have, like, a little football. They're really, really, really cool. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. I think that you were getting to the points that I was going to make. And one of the things that we also talked about was, it just made me think about, like, what other sports that there are to be able to do it. And I think that I don't know of any that would be as good, work as well as those football helmets. Because even you
No.
take baseball helmets and you don't have the full, like the face guard and things like that. They kind of used.
No.
And as far as anything else, it's like it really just doesn't work because nothing really has like the full face
No, I mean,
helmets.
the only thing that I could think of would be like for baseball is the baseballs themselves, all of them be normal white baseballs with the red threads and they have like the logo somewhere on it and then you transform it, right? And now it's got like the team logo, the team pants and like the color. All of that is of course hidden in the baseball mode. But other than that, it's like for the NFL, they nailed it. I mean, those are awesome.
Yeah.
I wish that I was more into football, but at the same time, I'm not for the reasons that I am, and that just is what it is. But I can look at it and incredibly appreciate it for what it is.
Mhm.
And again, it begs the question of okay, well, obviously with sports, I don't really know where you would go from that, but the limitations seem to not really be in place at all. And I mean, you could show off a few that we have. Some of the ones that I wanted to talk about more are the Star Wars ones. You guys may have known that they recently did a Mandalorian crossover, which is awesome, by the way. This is a AT-AT Transformers crossover from way back in the day. I mean, one of the coolest Transformer figures that exists, and then it turns into the AT-AT driver with like the helmet and everything. It's super super cool. And it just kind of begs the question of where could they go from there, Star Wars wise, for instance. Obviously, we got the Mandalorian. And not gonna lie, a lot of their new Star Wars stuff isn't performing very well, right? So you kind of have to ask the question of, are we really, gonna be getting much at all other than, which of course the Mandalorian did perform well. So what do you think about that?
Well, my immediate thought was just that they could reapproach all of these ones with the renewed design team or whatever, because
Yeah.
the Mandalorian one is a really, really cool figure.
Incredible
And they
figure.
nailed the in one Starfighter mode, and it looks like Mandalorian when he's back. And so it's like, well, if they just took that approach with whoever designed that and went back to the AT-AT, they went back to the X-wing, they went back, I think that we could get some cooler figures than the ones that they have. Not that they're not absolutely wonderfully cool.
They are.
But they're dated, and so
They
you
are
can kind of
dated.
tell that. And especially just in terms of some of the plastic, it's like I worry about messing with it too much because I don't want to break it. But imagine tomorrow they come out with a new AT-AT Transformers crossover
Right.
that doesn't have the chicken legs that it does in robot mode and stuff like that, and still looks like I'm sold. On really anything
Yeah.
like that.
I think it would be really cool if we ever did see another AT-AT where there would be some way to like pull all four of the legs together and then make it into the bottom two legs, and basically it's like a skeletal like structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the feet themselves like connect together, do something strange, and then it just forms a bigger base for the foot. I think that would be a really good way of dealing with the backpack, because whenever that one is in its robot form, the legs kind of like hang over its shoulders or its back, and it's kind of awkward. And it has a huge backpack. But you're right. And how awesome would it be, and how much money? They're sitting on so much money right now, to the extent that they could make a Darth Vader, a Moff Gideon, and a lot of these they could reuse the same model for the ship and just make multiple characters and sell them, change the color scheme
Yeah.
a little bit.
Dude, a black and red TIE interceptor that turns into Moff Gideon with the Darth type helmet with the spikes and the red
Yes,
visor.
how awesome would that be?
Dude, that would be incredible.
And then imagine if like the helmet itself in its robot mode was like an accessory that you could remove. And then he has like the robotic face, because we didn't grab all of them, but we have a shelf back here that's got like Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's got Darth Maul, it's got Emperor Palpatine. All of them are really well done, but at the end of the day, they are dated, they're old, and whenever you mess with them, you feel like you're about to snap it because you have the strength of Superman and you're messing with literally nothing. But yeah, it's like the designs don't even need to change that much. They're most of them are really really good. Like for instance, the Obi-Wan Kenobi one is really solid. And again, I think it would be really, really cool to see where they could go accessory wise and how they could kind of change it up.
Absolutely.
You know, like including like a little R2D2 or something that, you know,
Yes.
turns into like something minor, like a gun, for instance.
Well, you could also have multiple versions of the characters, kind of like the Luke Snowspeeder and the Luke X-Wing.
Right.
You know, or you could have Luke turn into that land speeder from episode 4 and have him just be like the farmer clothes and a blaster, and then you could have a Jedi Luke that turns into the X-Wing or something like that.
Right.
You know, and then all of the Clone Wars figures that they did.
Right.
There's Ahsoka's, there's Anakin, Obi-Wan.
Dude, imagine getting the Bad Batch.
Dude, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
And then the Magna Guards they could reapproach, especially the General Grievous ones, so the two of them that there are. Like, there's just so many figures. They have an untapped, well, not untapped, but
I know it is untapped. I agree.
You know, and so it's just like they could make figures forever and only start running out 3 millennia from now, just because you get so many versions and so many different characters to begin with.
Right, and there is a lot of characters, but realistically, if we were to see any of them approach, they're probably going to be the newer characters. Like, for instance, Cal Kestis. I don't know if I actually haven't played those games. I know that you have. I don't know if he has any sense of vehicle or any type of thing like that. Does he?
Not exactly, and the one, well, he does. So he has oh gosh, what is that called? It's a really interesting ship design, and it's not featured anywhere else. And basically, there's like the longer, more rectangular part of the ship that you would walk around in, and then there's one fin that goes straight up, and that fin can rotate all the way around.
But it is
and it has a little booster at the bottom.
Well, then have him turn into that.
And you could even like somehow take like that bottom booster and detach it and put it in his hand, and then that somehow be the lightsaber. Or you could have BD1 would have to be an accessory, a little
absolutely
walking droid.
Well, it would honestly be cool just to have him like an accessory that you could put onto the shoulder.
Right.
You know, and that would be very, very cool for players. And obviously, a lot of people who are into Star Wars are also into Transformers. They're into these sci-fi elements. They're also into Marvel. They're into DC. A lot of the crossovers that have come out recently, honestly, to me, have been rather disappointing. Like, I'm not even going to get into the ones that I want to mention right now. So the first ones I'm going to mention are like the Sonic, right? We had the Sonic crossover. We had the Naruto crossover. And I am not crapping on those. There are a lot of people who love Sonic and love Naruto, and I bet if you guys pick that up, you absolutely love it. They looked cool. I'm not into those characters whatsoever, but the idea that they're making crossovers for characters that are just kind of out there, I mean, what does that mean? Like, at what level could they stop? I mean, what I really wanted to get into is the Hearts of Steel Transformers that have come out recently, but not only that, the new Feudal Japan line that they are releasing, and they just announced pictures of the Optimus and Bumblebee. Optimus turning into a bison carrying some type of wooden carriage, and Bumblebee turns into a flying squirrel, Megatron into a wild boar, and Starscream into a bird. And obviously with the Hearts of Steel, those are like the train variants, steampunk variants, very, very cool.
And I was really happy with, I only have the first 2-pack of the Hearts of Steel. It's the Optimus train and the Starscream kind of weird-looking biplane. And I really like those. I think that they are done really well. They're highly detailed, and they still retain their character. And I would like to eventually get the Bumblebee and Megatron 2-pack, with Megatron turning into that, like, I don't even know what time frame. It's just like one of those cannons that they used back a couple hundred years ago that you literally, like, multiple men would pick up and move. And I think that's perfect.
Right.
And the ox and cart Optimus for the feudal Japan.
So cool.
Like, and we thought about, like, well, what's the next time frame that they would go? And we talked about feudal Japan, but we didn't know what they were going to do.
Right.
And I think that the ox and cart is perfect. And I remember you saying something about how the designer was trying to retain the essence of Optimus Prime. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he was trying to retain the essence of a truck and trailer. And at first, I looked at it without hearing that, and I was like, this is really silly. And then I heard that, and I was like, okay, well, you're putting your brain towards it, and I like that, so I can appreciate it a lot more. Obviously, the Starscream is what it is. Starscream is cool.
I feel like there are better eagle modes that they already have.
Right.
And everything looks pretty good, but I feel like the legs are a little wonky.
Right.
It doesn't scream eagle, it screams more like a stork, maybe, just from the
Yeah.
long, spindly legs.
Yeah.
But heck, I would still, like, I want to get that one just so I would have an ox and cart Optimus Prime. Like, that's just such a unique, cool, and it looks really cool with the samurai helmet, and I don't think that they come apart. I think it transforms all in one piece, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what the actual like name of the like. I know that there's like a idea for all of this and what it is.
Like the Hearts of Steel for the older ones, but
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what
yeah.
the name is for the feudal Japan ones.
Yeah. It's like well, mainly what I'm trying to say is that I know that they're going to continue to go around in time. This feudal Japan one, it will be 4 in total, and then after that, they're going to go somewhere else in time. And so my question is like, where else could they go? What else could they do? And what would you feel like would be exciting?
Honestly, it's really interesting to think about because the two, I would say pirates.
Pirates would be awesome. Oh my gosh,
You
that'd
know,
be so
just kind of
cool.
like more like obviously you would have to be like frigates and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think in Optimus Prime and Megatron, so like if Megatron was like a man of war, like a British man of war with the multiple levels of hundreds of guns, Optimus
my
be a
gosh.
more like still a warship, but like a little smaller, something like that. Um, you could have Bumblebee be some sort of like not a warship, but still like sails and masts, but still be almost. There's probably a name for it, but like a scout ship, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Um, the interesting thing would be because if they keep with the pattern they're doing is Optimus and Starscream in one pack, and then Megatron and Bumblebee in another pack.
What are
I
they
don't
going to do
know.
for Starscream?
Yeah, it's
with that?
exactly what I was gonna get to.
What
I
time
don't
period
know.
are you in right now, by the way?
I think it's
Because you could have.
largely pre-Revolutionary War.
Okay, I was going to say you could have like Da Vinci's flying machine or some crazy thing like that.
Well,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so to that end, a Renaissance era would be cool.
Oh
where
my
you could have
gosh. And all of them be like ropes and paper
contraption type.
Almost, yeah. Like what it reminds me of is what was it, Vulture from the
Yes, yeah. I think it was the second. So not
Into the Spider-Verse.
No, I think it was Across the Spider-Verse.
Across
That
the
was the second
Spider-Verse,
one.
that's right.
Where they went into that like black and white, like
Right.
parchment colored universe.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Like just the idea of like contraptions that are Transformers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool. And I can't even begin to think of what the like actual accessories would be or anything like that. But the styling of them would be incredibly beautiful, and I think like if you have those clear stands, like how cool would it be to have four of those Transformers that are very clearly the very dated inspirations to things that we have today. So it's like a way of looking at it would be like, okay, well I have this F-22 Starscream. I also have this version of Starscream that turns into a bird. I have this version of Starscream that's steampunk. Now I have this version of Starscream that is like the first flying contraption ever made. So it's like kind of the idea of this character through the ages. And that's why I really think they're sticking to the theming with these four characters in general, because the idea being it's almost like the 13 primes that they're coming out with where they want you to collect all of them. They want you to get all of these, and then imagine how cool it would be to like have almost like a stand where it's stairs where they're each one is like on a different row, and then you start with like the earliest, and then you just keep moving up to like the newest one, if that makes sense.
I think it would be a really cool way to do it, especially if you're able to get everything and display them. Like that would be a perfect way to do it.
Obviously, it'd be a ton of money, but all of the collecting stuff is a ton of money. Anyone who collects knows that. And honestly, out of everything that they're coming out with right now, that may be the most worth it, because there's a lot of people who are very into this kind of aesthetic of older stuff, and I get that a lot. And it's very understandable. So, I mean, honestly, it's going to be really, really cool to see where they go. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I do believe they're going to do at least one more after Feudal Japan. I don't know how many more after that, but I hope that they continue to just blow our minds.
I think if those designers seemed like they had a good grip on what they were doing, and
Right.
those people seemed really creative, especially with pulling ox and cart for Optimus Prime.
But what do you think about the
thought
Megatron
about
and Bumblebee? What are your thoughts on that?
You know what I mean? I guess the Bumblebee is cool. Like, the Bumblebee is fine.
I don't know. It's
like,
a 4 out of 10 for me.
It's definitely not the best. I would
No.
say I like that more than like the Sonic crossovers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
The Megatron, I don't know exactly what it is about it. Just not a fan of how it looks.
It almost looks like one of those like one-step changers.
Okay, yes. I don't know how to articulate it, but that's exactly what it kind of gives off.
Does it not? Like,
yeah,
you would like pull the head, and then as you pull the head back, like all of it just transforms.
Yeah, and like those are cool for the age range that they put, but it's just not something that obviously I would consider buying.
No,
but yeah, we were really like, I was excited to see what they were going to do because we were talking about it,
right.
How it was literally like, I was looking up like artillery. I can speak English.
Artillery.
Yeah. From feudal Japan and things like that, and talking about how Megatron could be like a giant, like wheeled crossbow type thing.
That would have been awesome. Way cooler than a boar.
And then it's a boar, and then it just doesn't, like, if it was an A1, like really awesome looking, it wouldn't bother me. But I don't know. I saw it and sighed because I was like,
yeah,
dang.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. Honestly.
No.
And it is what it is, right? Some of them are going to be hit and miss. I'm personally not collecting any of these lines, so that's all on him. You know, I really messed with the train ones. I think those are awesome. Again, I'm excited to see where they go. I guess kind of moving away from the time period sets, moving more towards, I guess, some stuff that I would really like to see that we haven't mentioned so far. And if you wouldn't mind grabbing the Halloween one, we got a Frankenstein one. We also have a Draculus one somewhere up on the wall. The Frankenstein one is awesome. Frankentron is his name or whatever, but you know, they've made 2 of them, and we haven't really seen any more. So I don't really know where they would go from there. My immediate thoughts are like, okay, well, I kind of want to see a wolf man. I want to see an invisible man. I want to see the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, I want to see these classic horror villains. And they're not even villains, just classic horror characters, really.
And I think we've talked about this before, I think the limiting factor is the alt modes. And so to that end, Dracula reuses the Mind Wipe mold, and he turns into a bat. And when you transform him, he has like a molded suit, and you have the cape that goes on that can go onto the wings. That is a perfect Halloween crossover. It works really well. The Frankenstein one looks really, really excellent. The only downside to that is that it turns into like a
the tank mode is
thing.
Yeah, it's lame.
It's because it reuses essentially. I think his name is Impactor.
Yeah. From the TV show, Netflix TV show. I didn't watch it. But yeah.
But so. If the alt modes are the limiting factor, the one that they could very easily do is the Wolfman. Yeah. Because they already have wolf type molds. Right. You know, things like that. So you could have him turn into a wolf and then basically just stand up into the Wolfman. And I think that one could be a really easy one to do. I'm almost... Well, I guess I could say Dracula's probably the most popular monster, then Frankenstein, and then I would probably give it to the Wolfman.
I would easily give it to the Wolfman.
And so I wonder if that's why they did Frankenstein afterwards. And then so theoretically, if they do another one, it should be the Wolfman. And that would be awesome.
I don't want them to like reuse Weird Wolf or anything like I guess this is me being really optimistic for what I want right here. I would want them to like remold the Cheetor mold from Rise of the Beast. That is the best Cheetor any animal mold ever, in my opinion, for Transformers. It flawlessly nails the robot to cheetah mode. And if you could in any way transfer that to being a wolf and then paint it right, you know how cool that would be? That'd be one of the
Incredible.
coolest Transformers that existed.
Yeah,
Easily. Easily.
I would agree. But it's like taking a step past that, we really kind of hit a wall because we were thinking about things like the Mummy.
Right.
And I think that what we had kind of landed on was having him turn into a sarcophagi, which is loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't be that cool. It would be cool. But
Right.
I don't know.
And I think the molding would also be really interesting / difficult to do with having it look like it's
He
actually
would look really
wrapped.
blocky,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I don't know. Almost like blocky is like sound wave to the point to where it would kind of go lost on you that it's even supposed to be the mummy, given that mummies are skinny.
Well, I think the one that I was thinking because I seem so far they've been reusing things, and so my thought was if they heavily, I mean, I guess not retool it, but remolding Scourge and or Sweep from the '86 line, and how it kind of already like the
Yeah,
molding would
that'd
be
be-
fine. You could do the circular stuff on it. It kind of folds up into the Scourge and Sweep are like a flying boat type thing, but you could almost pretty easily like flip it and then have the molded like sarcophagi parts on the top, but then still it's just not quite there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would get it. And honestly, I don't even know if they're really gonna approach the Halloween ones again. It would be really cool. I mean, it'd be cool to see a lot of different holidays approached, and I don't even know. I mean, okay, I won't lie. It'd be really cool to see like a Christmas crossover. Obviously, very obviously, that being like the sleigh turning into Santa. And that could be unique, but will they do that? I don't know. And obviously for Easter they could do like an egg and then it transforms. Or I don't know.
Well, I think in terms of the Christmas one in particular, not that it would necessarily be like a transformer of Santa, but if they were to, I think that might be the perfect way into retouching on all of these old Transformers crossovers. Is you know how they have the gingerbread AT-AT Lego set,
Yes.
right? What if they reapproached this figure, kind of updated it, changed the mold, made it gingerbread themed, things
Yeah.
like that, you know?
Yeah, I get the idea.
And like the Star Wars stormtroopers and stuff like that are really really cool, and they're
Right.
an interesting take, and I like putting them out for Christmas and stuff like that, and the colors. They could very well do that, and I think it'd be easier than trying to make like a Santa Claus transformer, if that makes sense.
I don't disagree. Yeah. Well, the issue is going to be getting the Star Wars ones in general.
Yeah,
Right. So, and I mean, we're kind of even now we're kind of hitting a point where what else could there really be? Right off the top of my head, I would really like to see a Predator crossover before all of this is said and done. Got my boy the Predator right here behind. Feral Predator from the new Prey movie. I actually think that may be my favorite Predator movie.
it is for me for sure.
Um,
It's Prey and then Predator 1.
which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
But I remember watching that movie and I'm like, oh, well, movies nowadays are awful. And this was a few years ago. And I didn't expect anything. And that movie was amazing. So, yeah, a Predator crossover, I think it would just turn into like a ship.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the most exciting alt mode, but like the Predator mode itself would be so cool, and the accessories that could come with it would be phenomenal. You could have like 8 or 9 accessories come with it to the point where you're having
Easily.
to make it like a commander class or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, that would also allow you to actually make it a big freaking thing, turn it into the actual like ship.
Which one was that? Was that a leader class or was that a Voyager?
I think he was leader.
Okay.
But so that one also can turn in. It comes with the different accessories of all 4 different headbands and all 4 sets of weapons. So it can
Yeah,
be
you talked
any
about
of
the
the
Ninja
4
Turtle one, by the way.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I like about that is that I could make it into any of the 4 turtles.
Yeah.
And so that's like for me that one like that made it very well worth it.
Well, then maybe all it needs to be is a leader class, and because if they did it with that, they could inevitably do it with the Predator.
Yeah.
And the question is, like, with them doing Batman again, we kind of went over how the DC doesn't really have many that you could do. But what about like his villains? Like, could it be cool to see like a Joker mobile or like the Penguin helicopter or like,
The
you know what I mean?
scarecrow,
Just like
the scareplane.
right,
Like that'd be
right.
really cool. Yeah, I think that would work really,
Better
really
than
well.
actually trying to do like
Well, it could be the Penguin submarine from the Lego
yeah,
Batman
and then you can
games.
make him fat and blocky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There is ways to do all of this stuff. Having a Batman crossover, which we know is on the horizon, but also having the 3 or 4 villains, his major villains like Joker, Scarecrow, Penguin, and maybe Killer Croc or like who knows?
You could do Killer Croc, and because there is already a crocodile form. Now it's not the best. I would hope that they wouldn't just reuse it. But you could also do like I feel like Bane would be a really cool one and turn him into not necessarily like a garbage truck, but just a huge like Mack
Big
truck
SUV.
with a big like tank on the back. I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, there is ways to do all of this stuff, and it would be really really cool. What are there any more movies or TV shows that you feel like we've kind of
Well, I was trying to think about that just in terms of
st-
the
sorry,
huh.
Star Trek?
Oh yeah, exactly. The Star
We
Trek
need a
Enterprise would be
USS
awesome.
Enterprise ASAP. Anyways,
Absolutely.
continue.
I was just gonna say I was trying to think about just in the same vein as the Maverick ones. Of
Yeah,
what like, and I'm sure there's gonna be a good idea or two that I'm missing, but like with the Top Gun movies, like that particular jet is so integral a part of the story that it would be difficult, I think, to find another movie that like satiates that like interconnectedness of the person and the machine, if that made sense.
no, because there's not. Whenever you think of that movie, like the jet that Maverick and Goose are flying in is almost like a third character to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in most movies, the jets are just a part. Like for instance, Independence Day with the big aliens, they're just flying in jets. They destroy the aliens, but the jet itself isn't really significant to the movie, so you can't really make an Independence Day crossover. But again, there is so much untapped potential. I mean, I could see a Mario and Luigi crossover.
Speed Racer.
Speed Racer would be phenomenal. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but the dad's car is like red, right? And then the son's car is white.
I don't know about the dad's car, but yeah, the Speed Racer's car is that white and it has like some red lining on it. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I have like a deep memory seated of like there being the white Speed Racer car, but there being a red one in the exact same style, and I don't know if it's the same car repainted. But anyways, it could be cool to see both of those. I know that we recently got a Knight Rider, which is a show from like the 80s. And actually immediately pops into my mind that we have not mentioned the most important one yet. Do you know what I'm about to say?
There's two things.
Okay.
I think probably the one that you have is going to be my guess.
Okay.
But the other one was the DeLorean, the Back to the Future crossover
Not
that they
that
have
one.
done.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool addition to it. And it's like if they hadn't had that one, that would be one of my suggestions. But
All right, I'm going to lay it to you flat right here. Scooby freaking Doo.
No, I thought you were talking about the Ghostbusters one, dude.
Oh, I have the Ghostbusters crossover over here. That's one of my favorites.
Scooby Doo Mystery Machine crossover.
But here's the deal. Who do you turn it into? Right?
Scooby. You know what I mean? If at all possible.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, Shaggy is the one who fits the color scheme of the vehicle the best.
So it's like in terms of the character, you would probably have to say Scooby, but in terms of actually feasible, it would have to be Shaggy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they could do like if they put enough effort into it and the back door's open, it has like a little tiny Scooby Doo you can put in the back.
I don't know. I almost wouldn't mind Scoob being like being able to be inserted to the same extent as like the cassettes with Soundwave. I know like the Target edition for Optimus came with a little like Target dog that turns into a cassette, and it does fit into Soundwave. It would be cool to see Scooby being basically that, maybe the new 86 use of the mold for Ravage, used for that Scooby, and maybe it doesn't even need to fit in anywhere. It's just like an accessory, and the van turned into the robot can hold the cassette version. Or maybe even make that Scooby turn into like a big old sandwich or something. Who knows?
Dude, that would be very on par. That'd be awesome.
It would be pretty cool. But honestly, after that, I'm kind of stumped. I mean, I've really dug through my mind, and I haven't, I don't really know many others. And I don't know if we're gonna end the video right here, but if you guys can think of any more that we haven't listed that you think would be really cool, I mean, please let me know. Actually, immediately, again, just for the novelty of it, Indiana Jones. I don't know what he would turn into, but you could have him turn into the old style car. You could have him turn into an airplane that he flies on in the scenes where it's the map and it's like do 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 do.
It would be cool to have. Well, I guess it wouldn't necessarily make sense
I
because
keep
it was
hitting this thing.
Because it was like a Nazi airplane. But you know that scene where he and that big dude are like
Yeah, but it is a
fighting?
Nazi airplane,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't want him to turn into that for that, but it would be cool. And they don't usually do like an antithesis, kind of thing for these crossovers where they come out with like a evil or good variant. Obviously we've gotten the Street Fighter crossovers. Those are what they are. I don't really care for them.
No, I don't think those were.
Mortal Kombat could be interesting. There's a lot of characters in Mortal Kombat who, if they approached and basically gave them molds that already exist, they didn't spend time making them a new mold and just gave them accessories. For the people who play Mortal Kombat, that could be cool. But I actually want to, for 1 second, breach back into the idea of the Halloween crossovers because more lately we have gotten a lot of new Halloween like villains over the years. A lot of these being like Ghostface or Michael Myers, and some of these different characters like Freddy and Jason. And it's like it would be cool to see variants of them as well. Like how cool would it be to have a Jason transformer that turns into an old decrepit boat? That's like, destroyed and it's got like algae paint on it and like holes along the bottom.
And that would work pretty well too.
Yeah, it'd be really, really cool. And it would be white, right? I don't know what color it would need to be, but anyway, it's just like we have some of these horror characters. Let's give them crossovers, right? Mm-hmm. I love Halloween. I love crossovers. I love the Transformers. So it's like, yeah, dump it all. You're gonna make money. That's what these people need to understand is that you're sitting on money right now by not doing this kind of stuff. Which, obviously it's business decisions, and I'm not up there in Hasbro, so it's not up to me, but it is what it is. I mean, you got any others that you feel like you were leaving out, or?
Honestly, I think we've done a pretty good job of covering it. I think inevitably we'll hit stop recording, and 5 minutes will go by, and then we go.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, oh my gosh, we didn't mention this.
But I think we did a pretty good job of talking about stuff, and especially what we want to see. All in all, I know we spent some time kind of dumping over some of them, but all in all, I'm really excited for what they continue to do. I'm a huge Transformers fan, and I'm gonna keep getting stuff, for as long as it's feasible. But just get the ones that you like. Don't get the ones that you don't like. I just think that it's interesting, and whatever little part of my 10-year-old brain is still alive in here is very, very happy with what we've been getting. So
yeah, no, it is awesome. And like I said, he got me into it. He was into them before I ever got into them. And I mean, honestly, it'd be really nice to come on here one day and make a video about like why we like to collect. I feel like there's a lot of people, even our age, who will have questions about like, oh, well, you guys seem so normal. Why are you collecting Transformers? And there is an answer hidden in there. It's actually a pretty good one in my mind, at least. So I don't want to go over that today. I can't really think of any more crossover news or any more crossovers that I would personally want to see. So honestly, I think that we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I enjoy these Transformer videos. I enjoy getting on, with my roommates. So probably be back on here again soon discussing something of the matter, especially if this video somehow manages to get more views than all of my other videos, like my last Transformer video did. But yeah, no, it's been very fun. And, yeah, you got the computer, bro. It's all up to you. You guys have a good one.